Hello beautiful mamas. Today we're going to be talking about 6 different things that you may or may not be doing with your newborn baby that can potentially affect their overall development. Now, these are 6 different things that I have been observing throughout my practice, my own experience. Again, I am Adriana. I'm a pediatric occupational therapist of 13 years with experience with neonates and with also infants. And I will definitely be explaining all these different reasons why or why not. It's very important to be paying close attention to these 6 different things. All right, so let's go ahead and dig in. Number 1, mouth breathing. Now, this is a pretty big hot topic. There are professionals out there that are really discussing this. Now, why is a pediatric occupational therapist talking about this? And I get asked time and time again. It's very important because mouth breathing and oxygenation to the brain can affect overall development. So why can't we just start it now in terms of closing their mouths and making sure that their tongue is up at the roof of the mouth and being suctioned up in order for them to be able to efficiently breathe through the nose. So that's definitely number 1 that I always usually tell my mamas, and usually these moms don't know about these situations, and it's very important to know about it. There's a detailed video that is definitely coming up, and I will be discussing it a lot more in detail. Now let's move along to number 2, making sure that we're really paying attention to the baby's shape, head shape, I should say, and overall head preference, meaning is there a particular side that your baby is turning towards? I've had a lot of moms in the past not really realize that with under that full set of hair, especially for little girls or even little boys, we've been noticing that with a bunch of hair, it definitely gets missed in terms of the head shape. Now, again, this is another very detailed video that's very important that I will be discussing as well. But if you do see pretty significant head flattening, or your baby is starting to have a head flattening, it's very important to pay attention to this because maybe your baby has a torticollis, where is shortening of the muscle on one particular side of the neck, and that can definitely affect the head flattening positioning of the baby, and it kind of leads through a whole domino effect. So definitely please talk to your pediatrician to get a referral, or refer yourselves over to early intervention to get a physical therapy evaluation or occupational therapy evaluation as well too, because it could definitely affect overall development. So number 3, this is very, very common, where a lot of families are usually constantly saying that they are trying to ignore their baby's cry, and because they end up getting so used to the arms, or they want them to be very independent. And it could also be very cultural, but I usually tell families that it's very important, especially for newborn babies, to right away be picked up, because it can affect brain development, and also the trust issue can also affect your baby bonding and baby bonding with you as well too. So making sure that you're responding to that cry, especially within the first 6 months or throughout 12 months of age, is really ideal, because it's very important to let the baby know that you're there to be able to console them, to be able to be there for them, again, because the amygdala part of the brain starts enlarging, and that's a whole nother topic and special video that can be also be considered. But other than that, it's very important to respond to your baby's cry constantly, and to be able to let them know that you're there. And again, these babies have been in our tummies or in our uterus for the past 9 months, and it's very important to make sure that they're feeling safe and make sure that they're feeling well bonded with you. And in order for them to feel that security, it will definitely help them overall in terms of how they are developing gross motor wise, fine motor wise, so on and so forth in their overall development. Number 5 is container usage. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not shaming any mom at all whatsoever when it comes to container usage, because I, even as a therapist, utilize some particular form of container, especially when your baby is a newborn baby, and especially if you have a 2nd, 3rd, or 4th kiddo. It gets very busy. I totally get it, and I know. But it's also very important to know as well that sometimes when babies are left in containers, such as a car seat for a long period of time, or even baby bouncer, or even any type particular, like a swing, for example, these different types of devices end up causing the baby to be a little bit more stiff and have less free overall movement. So I usually end up recommending to a lot of my families that baby wearing is pretty ideal as well too, and also giving them an opportunity to take breaks in between those container usage in terms of trying to put them on the floor, on top of a blanket, or even on top of the bed, obviously with our supervision, to be able to get a little bit more of that free movement. That way they're not in one particular position for a long period of time, because it can tighten up muscles and it can affect their overall rolling or crawling later on. And again, this is type of domino effect that can lead to other issues as well. So it's very important to pay attention to those different types of things, because some moms, obviously they need to cook, they need to clean, they need to do all these different types of things. And I totally respect that and I understand, but it would be ideal if you can maintain your little one in these containers no more than 15 to 20 minutes, giving them a break. And then again, if you need to really utilize it to get what you need to get done, I totally respect that and I totally understand. Last but not least, definitely making sure that your baby is enjoying their bottle feeding or breastfeeding experience. So what am I talking about in terms of that? Sometimes I end up getting, for example, a mom ends up coming in, and I've seen it with a couple of my friends or even family members, and they end up positioning their babies in a cradle position and their baby is like constantly gulping. It looks like they're very uncomfortable when it comes to feeding, and moms are constantly like, you know, they're either watching TV or they're a little distracted when talking to someone who's coming over to visit. And I get it, you know, sometimes you feel like, oh, they're chugging down the bottle, it's totally fine. But if the baby constantly is gulping and having a hard time with feeding, or there's a particular nipple that's really fast and we're not paying attention to that and they're constantly coughing, they'll start associating feeding in a negative way. So then they start not wanting to feed and potentially feed less frequently, or they end up gulping so much that they end up sucking in a lot of air and they end up getting a lot more colicky and more fussy throughout the day. And you're wondering, well, what happened? You know, why is the baby so gassy, or why are they so colicky, or even why are they so fussy, period. So these different types of things are very important to be able to observe and consider. So just making sure that we're paying attention when we're bottle feeding the baby, or if we're breastfeeding the baby and your letdown is very fast. And also it depends on the time of the day that you're feeding your babies, and your baby might be more tired at the end of the day or more tired at the very beginning early in the morning because they didn't sleep very well at night. Again, let's just pay attention to how your baby looks like when it comes to feeding, especially if they're not only gulping, but also if they're dribbling milk off to the side of their mouth. And I have an actual video on that in terms of how do you know whether or not the flow is way too fast. And I also have another video too on how to progress the flow rate when they're getting a little bit more frustrated, and so on and so forth. So those are different types of examples that I have and things that I feel like it's very important, because we want to decrease issues from happening later on in order for your baby to feel happy and content and enjoy feedings overall with the bottles. Because again, as a therapist, I'm looking at the long run, the long game, because of what we do now can affect your overall baby. We need to make sure that we're establishing good base of support and a good base in general, which is why I'm discussing 6 different things that moms end up making in terms of mistakes. And I know that they're not intentional, but they're mistakes that are very, very important to be very much more aware of, and also seeking help when you are seeing a particular problem. So for example, if your baby has feeding issues, making sure that we are going to the doctor and getting a referral for occupational therapy or physical therapy, and a therapist who is experienced in pediatrics, or in particular feeding as well too, if this is a part, if this is a concern overall for you guys as well too. So other than that, these are the 6 different things that I've been seeing throughout my entire career and what I've been seeing constantly over and over and over again. So make sure that we're paying attention to these different things and also attempting to seek out help when needed. All right, so comment in the comments below and double check and see if you have any other questions or concerns, and I will be more than happy to answer those. And make sure to subscribe and also hit the notification bell, so I'll be uploading videos 2 times a week. So here I am. Have a good day.